heater noise. I'm sure it's going to be pretty loud, but it's still pretty cold up here, and it takes a lot to heat this 2-car garage, believe it or not. Anyways, in this little video here, got to do a little bit of maintenance to the gremlin. It's got a little bit of an oil leak somewhere in the back here. I'm thinking it's the valve cover, and I'm not 100% sure, but it may have a small antifreeze leak, and that's probably coming out of the intake, but I don't know 100% sure about that yet. And then it's got a little bit of a antifreeze leak on the thermostat housing, and it just needs a little bit of maintenance. I'm going to take this hood off because it's really hard for me to see back behind the motor with the hood on, and we need to get the motor mounts back on it, put the starter back in, and just kind of go through it and get her cleaned up a little bit anyways for the great move. So this will probably be the first rig that gets moved over there. But anyways, I'm going to get the hood off and we'll see if we can't see something behind the motor there. Alright, well, like magic, the hood's off. So I'll do my best here to kind of get in here and see what we got going on. I don't know if it'll focus or not, but so the bell housing is right there, and that's actually where the starter goes, is right in there. And that's how I know we have some sort of oil leak, because there's oil on that. Let's see. It's pretty wet back in there. And then, like I said, sorry about all the tight quarters here, but that right there, that's all wet. That's the corner of the head. And it's actually dripping onto the dipstick, transmission dipstick, and running down as well. So anyways, my point is the valve cover is actually leaking on this side, and looks like everything's got a little bit of a leak to it, so probably need to get some valve cover gaskets for it. You can see this from underneath the car a lot better than you can see it from here, but it's actually leaking antifreeze right out of the thermostat there. And no, I didn't clean up any of this nasty intake when I put it on this car. I just wanted to get it on the car and make sure that I could even get it running. So we're hoping to maybe do a different intake on it. But as most of you already have figured out and know, since we're moving to a shop, some of this stuff is going to have to kind of wait. I don't know. Then I know that this one here is leaking too. So I did clean up these heads, so that's all just crap and crud building up on all this. So this valve cover is also leaking, which is fine. We'll get her fixed up. But whoops. And then somebody pointed out to me the windshield wiper, why that's cut out. Well, that was the only way I could actually hook up the windshield wiper arm. I had to actually make an access panel, so one day I'll probably put a little something over that, but you know, this windshield wiper thing was actually already cut up and bent up, so figured it didn't really matter if I cut on it a little bit more or not. But all in all, I don't really see any other leaks or anything happening. The timing cover is nice and sealed still, and I don't see any leaks up front. And quite honestly, I'm kind of surprised how bad these valve cover gaskets are leaking. I've never had, knock on wood, I've never had any issues with LS valve covers leaking before, but they're definitely leaking. And I'm not still 100% sure on the antifreeze leak. We'll have to climb under the car and have a look. Looks pretty full. So it hasn't lost too much antifreeze. I haven't put any antifreeze in it since we've been driving this car, so that's good. Of course, we had to put a new water pump in it as soon as we started, the first day we started it. But anyways, I got to do the motor mounts. There are some motor mounts in there, but they never, these are just something kind of thrown together to try, but they're too short and they don't line up. And I have two sets of these, and there's a set currently in there, but as you can see, washers there trying to shim everything. They're about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch too short, and the motor mounts that I currently make and everybody's been buying, you know, they make up the height difference and they're fully adjustable. These are not adjustable, so I tried them out, but they're just not going to work. I mean, I drilled them and slotted the holes and did all kinds of stuff, but they're too short, so I'm gonna have to pull those out and get a other set put in there and get the starter back in and try to figure out what else is leaking in the back of the engine. So tightened that up and dried it off. Now I can see we got a little bit of a leak on our radiator hose, so to tighten him up some. Yeah, you can see I got a shimming and all kinds of stuff in them, but I can't get the engine to sit in straight, and I just don't want to mess with them anymore. But the reason I say I think I got a little antifreeze leak is that drop right there looks a little antifreezy. You definitely got an oil leak on that, and it's pretty apparent on the floor here. Looking up, you can see where the oil's been leaking off the valve cover and stuff up there. And then we got a pretty severe leak on the passenger side coming out of the valve cover. But anyways, it is what it is. And then I know we got a little bit of a drip on our transmission and stuff. And I know the rear tail shaft seal is completely out on it. The only reason it's not leaking currently is because it's not on a steep enough angle right now, but when it's in my driveway, it's really angled. It leaks pretty bad, so sorry about all the shaky camera work. It's kind of tough to squeeze my big body under here and get up inside this gremlin. It's really tight, so anyways, I am going to probably get these motor mounts switched out real fast and get the motor set back up to where it's nice and stable. And then thinking about maybe changing the oil, because I need to clean all this stuff up anyways, because it looks like the oil filter could be leaking too a little bit. But I definitely want to get the oil leaks fixed on this before I take it to the new shop. You know, I'm sure it'll leak oil again, but I'd like to just start out nice and fresh with no oil leaks. Well, I got the original old motor mounts that I originally made for this back on, because I don't have any current new ones right now that I can get rid of. They're all going out to people. But anyways, got the valve cover off on the passenger side, and I went around and brake cleaned everything underneath. Got that all tightened up so that'll quit leaking on us. And you can definitely tell she's been leaking, so I have to do a little work on sealing her up, and got to do the other side yet still. But I think with the valve covers, fixing those, and oh, and the little antifreeze leak was actually the adapter here for my mechanical temperature gauge. So anyways, getting the valve cover sealed up, tightening that, and fixing the oil filter and the oil gallery cover thing on the side of the motor should indeed get this to quit leaking any kind of fluids for now. Alright, well, I was thinking nothing on a little paint and new valve cover gasket kit couldn't help, so got new little rubber grommets and then the actual O-ring type of thing that goes into the LS valve cover there. But yeah, it looks better. And I do notice engine's green, but I can get around that a little bit. I just kind of sprayed in that part of the block right there. You can't really see any of the engine in this car. It's completely buried, but gives it a little finesse, I think, having that valve cover. I'm going to do this one next. This one's a little harder to do just because of all the wiring, the main wiring harness and stuff's in the way. But I tightened up all the oil bolts and, like I said, sprayed off the engine with brake clean. So I think this is going to end this video for right now. There'll be a part 2 because we got to put a shifter in this still, which is laying there in the floor. But so we got to put a shifter in this, and then we'll be able to check to see if any of my fixings are going to work or not, because we'll get it running and let it run for a little bit and check it and stuff. But that'll have to be a little bit later video. In the meantime, I'm going to finish up that other valve cover and get it this far, and hopefully that solves the oil leaking problems on this engine, and then it's good to go. So thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.